How's it going, hibiscus? I literally only have 30 minutes free before I'm in back-to-back astrology readings, so we're gonna power through this. Look, Jupiter is retrograding, and I just want to say, had you been following me on Patreon, you would have known all of this way beforehand. I've ADHD, I'm not very good with time scheduling, but I'm committed more to growing this YouTube babe and us having chit chats, but stay with me now, right? So when you hear of Jupiter retrograde, what do you think? Time for introspection, reflection. This is all about growth. This is about 4 months about pouring into your own cup. Because if you could not tell, we are now in historical times. When you met me, what did I say to you? Astrologically, we are now in the downfall of colonialism. There has never been a more necessary time for you to really know your identity, free of it being influenced by others, and pour into your own cup. And please do not minimize your purpose, your ambition, your dreams, because you actually might be one of the game changers, the entertainers, the educators, the artists, all the other different facets that fuel and sustain revolution and change. So you know the routine. Grab a cup of cha, get comfortable. Let's have a cosmic chit chat about why you are going to take yourself blossoming so seriously during the remaining months of a Jupiter retrograde. Let's go, hibiscus. Immediately, what we need to discuss is the Ketu aspect that's happening on this Jupiter retrograde. So let's revisit, what does Ketu represent? So number 1, clarity. Number 2, venomous speech. Number 3, the bestower of the biggest, juiciest treasures you could get in this lifetime. Number 4, unpaid karmic debts. And number 5, liberation. So really comfortable stuff that we obviously want to deal with after having a year where we feel emotionally exhausted. But that's the point. When you look at Ketu and Jupiter coming together, Jupiter's what? Expansion. It's guru, it's knowledge, it's fortune, it's literally food, baby. It is a certain level of richness and progression in life. But this talks about progressing because you acknowledge everything that's not working. Put it this way, right? When you come into a Jupiter retrograde, this is about action. This is about reflecting, am I actually growing in a meaningful way? Am I on the right path? And take that seriously, because what have I been screaming at you from the start? 2024 is what? A Saturn ruled year. We are now in the last leg of astrological process of death and rebirth. The decisions you made all throughout 2024 and a very small part of 2025 will impact the next 2 decades of your life. Everything that happens will be connected to the decisions you made this year and that small little window in 2025. So, whilst God gives you the grace to figure out if you still want to go down this path, make a change. Listen, I know this year has been blue cheese funky. I know we're no longer living in unprecedented times, but historical times. There's always room to change, but you have to be honest. Ketu represents what? Clarity. You know, one thing I've always found a little bit peculiar is why people's go-to maneuver is to make themselves find joy in situations they know they hate and they're done with. It's like, why is not your default to say, okay, gracefully, I know I've learned whatever I was meant to learn here. Whatever this chapter was meant to be, it has been. Now let me go and see elsewhere. What is it? Do you feel embarrassed? Would you feel humiliated? What is holding you back? All the cards that you were meant to be dealt, all the clarity, all that enlightenment that was meant to come to you based on the life that you have been living for all the years that have been, the ideologies you have held, all of that jazz, it's with you now. So please tell me, what else do you need to simmer over? And the truth is, this is why you feel embarrassed. You don't. You have the utmost clarity. You understand the things that you want to change. You are the only person holding yourself back. This Jupiter retrograde is about action, action, action. It is not about, because this is the thing, you will all do reflection, introspections as a means to delay, as the means of false hope that you think something's going to change in what, the 11th hour. This is what it is. So what do you want to do moving forward? And I promise you, right, you'd rather make an uncomfortable decision now and thank God in the future that you did, because you have something that you're happy and truly fulfills you and means something to you, than to spend 20 years regretting and cussing and being filled with like just the most nastiness because you're pissed off at yourself. You couldn't do what you needed to do. And for what? A comfort zone for someone who's going to disappear in a couple of months, for a job that would fire you in a second. The key lesson of 2024 has been to make sure you are aligned to values, people, environments, and ambitions that will truly sustain you and nourish you. And should you be wrapped up in a Maya, illusions, and ego, you will rot at the same pace of nastiness that all those things are that you choose to enable and uphold. Bada boom, bada bing. This Jupiter retrograde is not about adding more to your lives, but about editing. What do you need to remove? What do you need to get into shape so you can thrive in 2025? It's a Mars-ruled year next year. It is about action, action, action. You have been trained throughout this whole year, and to be fair, over the last 5 years, to become smarter, to make decisions and choices that will really be good for you. Let me remind you, Ketu literally shows the bestower of the greatest wealth. If you truly acknowledge the hard lessons that you have been taught and you start implementing that wisdom now, I promise you, no matter how uncomfortable, how unnerving, how uneasy, you will be so thankful in the long run. You have a small window to make the right moves that you won't be regretful for, but you have to have the ability to recognize truths about the things around you and about yourself. Jupiter and Ketu, when it's completely unbalanced, shows someone with fucked values. Fucked values, what they practice, they don't preach, and they become victims of false gurus and all the nastiness in the world. But if it's balanced, it talks about someone with so much clarity, so much solution-making orientated mindset that they thrive, they educate, they lead. We are in an era now of great change. The next 7 years are about catalyst moments, and then they will allow the downfall of colonialism and all these nasty norms to play out over decades, and they will never come back. But things are not black and white. There will be people who don't go on that journey. Make sure it's not you. Those uncomfortable decisions that you made pay off. Because what do you mean? Straight after Jupiter and Ketu aspect each other, Jupiter is locking eyes with Venus. They love being upon each other. I'll tell you why. Jupiter has the keys to success. Venus is that motherfucker that will take the wisdom, the astrology, boom, boom, boom. I am making all the products, services, and goods, and I'm cashing in on that wisdom. Making those tough calls pays off. Deal with the reality of things. Don't keep dealing with wishful thinking. No more time for introspection. Swear to God, action, action, action. The cards that you were meant to be dealt have been put in your hand. What do you want to do? Make a move. Don't sit and be static. Let me break it down, right? When Jupiter and Venus come together, it talks about the most prosperous type of creativity. It is the most comfortable in its identity. And again, it's just going pound for pound when it comes to good ideas. Do not sleep on the connection that has off the back of realizing really uncomfortable stuff. Because perhaps that is the following, right? You realize you have all these talents and skills, but if I stay in that environment, their MO is to make money off me, but never recognize me. So instead of suffering, I'm betting on myself. Maybe don't leave your 9 to 5, please. Finance, economy, let's be sensible. But I'm going to start figuring it out and pouring into my own cup so there's an exit strategy. Damn. I realize I'm actually very attractive. I'm funny, I'm smart, I've got a whole bunch of stuff to offer to the world. It's really funny, I never knew that for as long as I hung out with those people. Because just the other day when I went to a different social event or sat with different people, I have never got so much validation, recognition, and sense of belonging than I ever did. So there was nothing really wrong with me, I was just sitting with the wrong people. What you gonna do, dummy? Are you gonna still hang out with the people who hate you, or are you gonna start picking your own tribe? Community is key in this next chapter. This is what I'm talking about. It's essentially God saying, here is a bunch of colors, every color you would ever want, wish, and desire. Redesign. Paint the things you want to see. And FYI, don't waste your paint painting over rotting mold that is killing you. Get a fresh blank canvas, go towards the newness, build everything that you've desired, and I will make sure if you are brave enough to put in that action, you will be rewarded for it. That's exactly what it is. Also, Venus and Jupiter is about collaboration. They're two different energies. They're two different types of knowledge, you know? Jupiter, I would say, is more like a traditional OG, like this is wisdom that we know always works. Venus is the alternative. Venus is experimental, it's the provocative, it's innovation. So it has its wits about it, but it comes through experimentation. So when you put it together, do you know the layers that are at play here? You're being encouraged to say, yeah, don't give up on your dreams and that OG wisdom and experience that you've gathered over time. It still has value, but let's do this in a different way. Then you got to sit with yourself, right? Really basic stuff. How do you need to feel about yourself and appear in the world that will allow you to take those steps? Secondly, be brutal. Environment, company, all of that. Does it align up? Does it allow you to flourish the way you need to? Again, all of this is about you making real life decisions that benefit you in the long run. Because I'll tell you the alternative, right? Whilst I'm being very polite about Venus and Jupiter here, best believe when I see this combination together in 80% of horoscopes, I fucking hate it because I just know it's a pussy ass bitch. Let me explain, right? Whilst Jupiter is an innate sense of wisdom, it's very particular, right? And then when you pair it with Venus, this knowledge has to be seen in a certain type of way to feel good and strong. So what happens? When this energy is unbalanced, it easily indicates a person that doesn't really feel secure in themselves and feels like they need a bunch of shit, a bunch of validation, and all of a sudden there's all these terms and conditions and restrictions for them to feel good. And should you ever poke and prod and take away anything that feeds into their manufactured sense of self, they crumble, they get really nasty. It basically brings out all the attributes and personality behaviors of someone that I deeply believe should be on a Netflix documentary. What do you reckon the difference is between when I like a Venus and Jupiter and when I hate it? What do you reckon behaviors the person's exuding one might neither make good? Because when Jupiter and Venus is put together, it's an internal student. So it's not someone that's a know-it-all, has a lot of false pretenses, or has to have a really heavily created image to thrive. It's someone that's like, so I have a bunch of coolness in me, but there's so much more out here. I really just want to explore and learn. And I'm just going to keep building, and I have no attachment, and it's cool if this stuff turns out different to what I envisage. And it's those people who thrive and succeed. Adaptability and flexibility are key in a horoscope, right? Again, if the Venus is lower than the Jupiter, it talks about the person is motivated by the wrong stuff. So again, they use their energy and their intellect and their wit and all that cool stuff for the wrong reasons. And they're too easy to break. You see Venus and Jupiter together, you can destroy that motherfucker like really, really quickly. That's why Jupiter doesn't like Saturn. Saturn has the endurance, composure, and resilience. Jupiter needs a lot of like, you're the best, baby. And it's like, you mediocre ass bitch, please. But yeah, you are now in a period of time that once you accept the clarity that has been bestowed upon you, you now choose what stays and what goes. And should you pour into the right things, you're gonna flourish in ways that you couldn't even imagine, and you will do so well, hibiscuses. However, if you want to keep acting like the pesticides that they spray on you is nutrients, then yeah, good luck with the weird zombie ass leaves that you grow and like the fucking, I don't know, like the purple raspberries that come out of your garden and shit. You're gonna be hideous and you'll deserve it all, because in all honesty, what the fuck? Why would you choose to sit in ignorance? What rewards are you getting for your comfort zone? Even that's a talking point, right? Because Ketu can imprison people and Venus is domestic unhappiness. There is such a strong energy in the air that like you clearly know what makes you happy and what doesn't. It is a choice now for you to sit in those things. And if you sit in those things, you're not actually picking them. I want you to know it's because you're scared. You're actually like picking fear over your happiness. That's unhinged. That's awful. Why would you do that? But yeah, this is a time where you can flourish and great things can happen. You gotta have some grit and gall to you. Otherwise, like I said, good luck for the next 2 decades. I really have nothing for you. Maybe we should talk about things that you can do during this time. Listen here, hibiscus. Between now until early February, when Jupiter finally finishes going retrograde, the name of the game is all about just aligning with things that are true to who you are and your values. Please stop people pleasing. When I tell you we are in the era of the lunatics being let out the asylum, it's really not in your interest or anybody else's to keep pleasing them. You have to pick yourself. You have to learn to pour into your own cup. It is literally the difference between oppression and liberation. Liking yourself, backing yourself, and doing shit you like, unsurprisingly, can make a difference in a system where we are normalized to be exploited. Don't sleep on yourself and the importance of your identity and your ambitions. And in fact, with that was actually step number 1. This is a great time to reset your ambitions. So look at everything you've been through. Whether it's the year just gone or the last 5 years, that's up to you. There has obviously been new lessons you have learned. Undeniably, you have grown as an individual. Just ask yourself a really simple question. Does the path I'm looking to go down feel true to who you are today? That's it. And it's okay if the answer is no, but pivot. Do not die on a hill you could not give a fuck about. What's the point, right? If you know you see stuff differently, you know things can be done differently, or you just know bare minimum, the way things have been is no longer cool with me and I'm not comfortable, that is enough to go and explore. But reset those ambitions. And it's okay, it's no reflection of you failed or you won. A chapter's over. Astrologically, I've been saying that to you. Whatever has been is over now. This is the newness, and the newness is going to come with some funkiness. But you got to be okay to lean into it. You know, otherwise I think it would be a damn shame to not implement all the new cool stuff that you know and you've learned about yourself. I think it'd be a real shame and such a disservice to yourself. Or perhaps, you know what, maybe use this time to acknowledge that you have been reshaped into someone completely new and you're not quite sure what that person likes and doesn't like, but then give them the opportunity to go and explore. You are an ever-growing, changing thing. You literally change star signs in Vedic astrology. You were never just one sign. Move with the times. That's when we say people are going to have like bad karmas or shit's going to happen to them, is when they stay in a static state. They stop developing. They cling to things. We're like, oh, well, good luck. God bless. Please don't rebook in because I don't want to hear your tears. But yeah, wherever you're at, if your ambitions have changed or you know you want to approach stuff differently, reset. Go in with fresh intentions, reinvigorate yourself, make it happen. Leads me to point 2. Build habits and spaces that sustain you. Consider, again, all the elements you now know work for you and don't. You cannot stay in the same environments that make you fucking ill and expect to heal and flourish. Are you, obviously, I was about to say, are you well, but you're not, because what kind of insanity and lunacy? Move it, bro. Put it like this way. This is just an extreme example, but it's honest. I have always yo-yoed in my weight, right? And my biggest thing is I have a sweet tooth that is actually diabolical. Like, do you know Elizabeth I used to brush her teeth with sugar? I'm way worse than that. I inject it into my veins like a little sugar crackhead that I am, right? I know if I have a bunch of processed food or like proper like sugary stuff in my house, I will binge. So what do you think I do? I remove temptation, and lo and behold, when I change my daily habits and I feed myself different stuff, the way like my sugary tooth decreases is insane. And it sustains me. It allows me to have energy. It deals with me not having such bad mood swings or going into depressive states. Bada boom, bada bing. I pick stuff that I know is in my benefit. Apply the same to yourself. Whatever facet of life you're thinking about, apply the same. Pick habits, environments, people that allow you to grow and prosper. Stop surrounding yourself with poisons and wonder why you're ill all the time. Can I tell you something personally? Someone said to me the other day, what is like the biggest realization you had since studying colonialism? And I literally said how the systems and structures exploit us to do labor, right? It literally stops people fulfilling their purpose or connecting to their true like talents in life, because you are literally exploited and trained and groomed to be a piece of labor for people who don't care for you, like you, or literally see you as like not even like a civilian casual. They don't give a fuck. And ever since like I had that radicalization moment, I was like, never again, for as much as I can control, would I ever waste my energy in things that fundamentally don't care about me and will not make me safe. And I think it's really fucking funny how my life has been great and I look great and everything's been great since. So do the same. Yeah, the next few months, they're ideal for creating environments that will help you flourish no matter what's going on externally. No excuses now. Just basically think of it like I have 3.5 months left to plant seeds where I know the roots are going to be able to hold full and grow prosperous regardless of the crazy weather ahead. Nourish yourself. Pick the shit that suits you. Finally, number 3, remember that abundance comes from in. I've got to put my laptop down because this is one I'm going to preach. Hello. The one thing I kept thinking when I was creating this Jupiter retrograde videos, and again, follow my Patreon because all this stuff I talk about explicitly in do horoscopes. For me, when I think about Jupiter's behavior between 2024 going into 2025, it's gone through the 9 types of Taurus, right? They are naturally leaders. They don't want to hear fuck all from anybody else's mouth. The amount that they believe in their own source is, you know the phrase, believe in your Dulu like it's truly or whatever. It's them. It's literally them. And petrifying, but also admirable. Because the thing is, they don't wait for handouts. They don't wait for validation. They have such a deep sense of, I am capable. This is my thing. Watch me do it. Bada boom, bada bing. That's why Taurus is associated to wealth. It's not because it's ruled by Venus as a zodiac group. It's nothing even to do with the power of Nakshatras. We know in the 9 types of Taurus, you will find such a sense of self-confidence and purpose and like resilience, like almost to the levels of belligerence. Whatever they want, they're going to have. They're going to experience it. Good or bad, they're going to experience it. And they are capable of bringing it in. So stop making excuses. Don't not pursue an ambition because you're not supported by people who don't fundamentally like you and think you're stupid and would hate to see you flourish. Don't not pour into yourself because you're worried about how people are going to talk about you. They're going to talk about you regardless. It don't matter if you're £50 lighter, £20 lighter. It doesn't matter. People speak regardless. Fuck a bitch. Can I tell you something? Like, for free, someone said to me, like, how do you feel being on social media? And I was like, I am actually built for it. I need to take a coffee break. 2 secs. Firstly, I would like to thank me for not giving into my Lana Del Rey impulses when I was younger. Because you know when she used to smoke, I used to think she looked so cool and badass. But thank God, I was like, I actually am petrified of cancer and I don't want to be sponsored by tobacco. And also, like, I don't have those windpipes. So yeah, thank fuck. But anyway, post coughing fit, let me tell you something for free. Why I always knew I was built for social media. I do not give a fuck about what anybody else has to think. I've always had a strong sense of identity and I've always had a strong sense of values. And this is my whole thing. Never in my whole time of existing have I ever felt the need to leave anything nasty on anyone's profile. Why do you think that is? I'm calling myself. That fundamentally translated into me seeing them a certain type of way, which is the following. The only reason you feel compelled to talk about people, leave your little fucking weirdo comments, is because you are mad that you cannot back yourself the same way. You don't like yourself. You're pissed off that you live a lifestyle that fundamentally doesn't allow you to do what you want to do. I knew from a very early point on in life that if I truly want to live the life that I wanted, I was going to have to give it to myself. And what made it scarier as a marginalized person is I was going to have to deviate from the systems and structures that we are groomed to think will protect us to thrive, because they would always keep me sick. They would never acknowledge my value. And unless I conform to be like them, I am going to have a really fucking hellish time on this earth. And like that, bada boom, bada bing, your bitch is birthed. Don't forget where I stem from. Starbucks spirituality, right? Fundamentally, what gave me the fire in my stomach came from inside my community. I was so disgusted at seeing how these predators would exploit religion and basically weaponize knowledge to scare people, to harm them, to groom them. And then on top of that, there were such disparities. And then imagine I turn into a young adult. I go into the world. I'm dealing with huge internal levels of like racism, internal sexism. Then I gotta see fucking Heather with a feather on her head talking about, you know, just making a mockery of like religious practices and culture so she can cosplay as me and thrive and get paid, but I'm getting taunted and told that's weird and A, B, and C. I don't fucking think so. I don't fucking think so at all. So ever since then, I just didn't care. I was like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, behave how I'm going to behave, and deliver the message. And we're just going to see how it goes. And because I backed myself, even when people thought it was weird, not cool, and A, B, and C, look where I am now. You have to fundamentally believe in yourself and fuck everybody else. Whatever you want, you will give it to yourself. And also, let this be a lesson. The things I wanted to see didn't exist. I am now those things. Me doing that has consequences because I know, like, I know the impact, I know the vibe, you know, but like I am aware me showing up in the world has impacts on other brown babes, the queer ones, the ones who want to reconnect to their religions, the one who can't speak their mother tongue. Like, it has something for them. Go a little deeper. You know, I'm a whole corporate babe before I did this full time. One of the hardest things in my career was walking away. Right, and to a certain extent how it was taken from me, right? It's not lost on me that there is a huge period of my time where I had an immense amount of influence on companies that you are currently using in like everyday life, and it was taken from me. And for a while I was deeply upset, but then I have composure and I have faith, and I just thought, you have two options here. You can either abandon your dreams and things you really care about and just, you know, sizzle in and play ball, or somehow, some way you deliver your message without it being hindered and held back. So obviously I did not envision I'd be doing Vedic astrology and talking about human rights and injustices and just learning, developing with you all. But it's really fucking funny to me. Once upon a time, it was really hard to get certain people to listen and implement the changes I want, and I would have to beg and plead. And now I have politicians, the biggest public influencers, figures, entertainers, sportsmen, people who work, decision makers in pharmaceutical, education, sports, media, dying to have a conversation. And then I realized, oh, I never lost my way. I was doing the wrong approach. And all I had to do was be authentic and sincere to who I am, and God would line up the rest. And long as I'm always grateful, and as long as I pick decisions that are truly right for me and they're not coming from a place of fear, they're not coming from a place of inadequacy or any of that, I'm going to flourish. And simultaneously, I'm creating the things that I so badly craved to see when I was younger. And that has positive impact. Everything you want, you will give it to yourself, but you have to back yourself. You have to take yourself seriously. Otherwise, it's pure chaos and illusions. And I promise you, like 2025 is a really spooky year because all the illusions and stuff that people enable, they start becoming super serious victims to that ideology and that outlook. Don't let that be you. Let you be the person that fucking laughs because you saw shit with a clear head, had foresight, and you don't fall victim to the same weirdness. Before we wrap up, let me walk you through the Taurus nakshatras actually. Let's go with the retrograde motion. So let's start with Mrigasira. So Mrigasira, Vada 1 and 2 is Taurus type 8 to 9. Mrigasira means the hunt. This means you fundamentally start this transit by understanding you are not where you need to be. So you start building and taking actions that will lead you to a place that is for you. Mrigasira's power is the power to fulfill our desires. It's ruled by Mars. What is next year ruled by? Make the uncomfortable decisions. Put yourself out there. Be adventurous. Be courageous. Don't worry about power struggles. Back your corner. It will pay off. Also, side note, Mrigasira contains the story of Satima, who essentially is a goddess who got everything she wanted, but because she could not control her hysterical mind and care too much about what other people thought, everything that she so badly wanted, she destroyed. And it started off one of the most destructive cycles in history at that time. Then we go to Rohini, the red one. That's what it means in English, right? Rohini talks about when someone uses their passions and emotions, they can grow and conquer. They have all the energy, they have all the vigor, they have the confidence. Rohini's power is the power to grow. When you back yourself and pour into your own cup, it is inevitable. But Rohini's not easy. Rohini deals with conflict, WAR. It deals with dealing with secret, like, enemies and all this hardship. But because you back yourself and you fundamentally understand who you are means a lot and you can do a lot, all the challenges that come ahead, you naturally start to think of solutions, how to overcome them. You laugh at them. Rohini is the birth nakshatra of Lord Krishna. He was never fazed by any of the challenges in front of him, no matter how strong the people, how much bigger than they were, how bigger the armies was. He understood inside me is knowledge. Inside me is everything. Doesn't matter what they do. I am everything. I can resolve whatever they put in front of me. And to a certain extent, I created them. This would be such a good time to probably tell you about how we think everything is one, right? So for a long time, I was really, really angry at obviously like Starbucks spirituality. I would be like, how could you be like this? How dare you? Like, you don't see what you're doing is wrong. It's so nasty. And then in a Saturn ruled year, I only had this realization this year. I was like, oh, they have to exist because without them, I wouldn't exist. So I have karmas in my chart, which literally show one of my duties is to eradicate like authority and power figures and false gurus. Pretty punchy for a little girl, right? They are also karmas that people have in their chart that show they are victims of false gurus and they have to go on a tough journey of following the wrong things. And then there is a choice to rectify and then they get enlightenment in A, B, and C. How could I ever be mad? And then it makes me laugh because I'm like, I'm a whole ass blessing and you're a whole ass curse. Your mere existence show how fucking awesome I am. And also, it should give me all the confidence and kind of fire in my belly to try to share my knowledge and the things that I learn because it is going to be helpful to someone, right? Doesn't mean my shit always lands, doesn't mean it comes out correct. But if I try, it will contribute to something good. I just got to get out there. And I can have the most fun doing it however I want. And weirdly enough, if I'm more myself, the shit slaps. When I try to be like more constructed and manufactured and like I would say prim and proper how I'd like to be, it never lands. But when I'm just like unhinged myself, everyone's like, yeah, I'm like, yeah. And then low and by low, their influence gets lesser. Everything you need, you have. Start pulling that shit out. Rabbit in a magic hat. Which then leads me to Kritika, to cut, to challenge, to divide. You are only as powerful and strong, as mean and nasty as the opposition and the hater and bitch is in front of you. I always think it's so funny when people are like, bitches want to be me, and then they line up the saddest bitches. I'm like, oh, what a disrespect. Like, gross people want to be you. That's not the flex it is. But when you get someone who feels the need to intimidate you and make you scared, and they naturally have a lot of power, they have A, B, and C, that means you're someone to fuck with. You made someone who felt like they were unfuckable with petrified. That is a testament to your purpose, to your talents and skills, to your identity, to your cause. Krithika's ruled by the sun. It shows someone who's immensely calm in the face of adversity. You can't shake that motherfucker. Even if you scream, kick, threaten to kidnap them, whatever, they're like, do it. Throw hands. See what's good. How petrifying is that? Can you imagine being the person screaming and kicking and really trying your best to intimidate someone, and the person in front of you is like, you see what energy we're in? And Krithika's sun, it's a leader. Sun deals with cool behavior, but Krithika can cut through it. Sun is enlightenment. You haven't been through all that you have to fall away in the 11th hour. You don't think your experiences are training you for something. Whether you want to apply this to your personal relationships and it comes to respect and love and devotion in relationships, whether this is your financial situation, I'm really hoping this is for your fucking career, because I just think by default, I tend to attract people who work in really cool sectors, doing really cool stuff, and I really just want you guys to go for it, and like, you will be a part of like magnificent things that will come, so we need you to stop being pussy holes. Go for it. Krithika's power is the power to burn, to cut away. You can burn away restrictions, you can burn away the longest standing of norms and discrimination. You can make the change, but you fundamentally have to back yourself and put yourself out there. And you have to stop picking stuff that is not of service to you. And it is really like a final decision-making thing. We are now entering into a transit where the bed is pretty much laid. I think there's a few zhuzhing of the pillows and maybe spraying some room spray, but what is done is done. You know, with dharmic faiths, I was thinking about this earlier, right? We don't really have a concept of forgiveness. So like, when I've been studying like religious scriptures, I always found it interesting how in Abrahamic faiths, there's such explicit themes and examples of forgiveness being bestowed on people. For us, we don't believe in forgiveness. We think energy is limited, right? So after a certain point, whatever you've done with the energy, it's done. You can't get it back. Now, when it comes to, oh, just switch that off. 2 secs. No, we're good. Sorry, hibiscus. Now, when it comes to, if you've been following the wrong path, and you realize you've been following the wrong path, you will always have to face the consequences. But we don't have forgiveness. We have this term, which basically, to paraphrase, you find your path back to God. You find your path back to Dharma across all dharmic faiths. So it's like, you can't change what you've done. You will have to face consequences, but you can make better decisions moving forward. You can start taking the right steps back to the things that do nourish you, hold you, and sustain you. But it's a choice. It's free will. So yeah, I can't reverse if you made horrible decisions. You will have to face the consequences of them. But once you've faced the consequences of them, why repeat a cycle? Why not break it? You can do it with Jupiter going through Taurus. The power to fulfill your desires. You want better, you can have better. The power to grow, great. If you don't have it quite figured out, if you experiment, I promise you, I will give you the tools and resources that allow you to flourish. The power to burn away. I will remove every obstacle and path in your way that holds you back and makes you feel silly. Burn away ignorance, burn away negative beliefs, burn away every fucking shackle of oppression, and you're good. But isn't it funny how it starts with you and the things you value, the way you look at your identity, and where you put your energy? Duh. Anyway, I think that's it. I've got like 7 more astrology videos to make after this, so please make sure you follow, subscribe. Yep. Bye, hibiscuses. Make great decisions.